The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. In the days of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah of the priestly division of Abijah. His wife was from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Both were righteous in the eyes of God, observing all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blamelessly. But they had no child, because Elizabeth was barren, and both were advanced in years. Once when he was serving as priest in his division's term before God, according to the practice of the priestly service, he was chosen by lot to enter the sanctuary of the Lord to burn incense. Then when the whole assembly of the people was praying outside at the hour of the incense offering, the angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right of the altar of incense. Zechariah was troubled by what he saw, and fear came upon him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, because your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall name him John. And you will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He will drink neither wine nor strong drink. He will be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from his mother's womb. And he will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God. He will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of fathers toward children, and the disobedient to the understanding of the righteous, to prepare a people fit for the Lord." Then Zechariah said to the angel, "How shall I know this? For I am an old man, and my wife is advanced in years." And the angel said to him in reply, "I am Gabriel, who stand before God. I was sent to speak to you and to announce to you this good news. But now you will be speechless and unable to talk until the day these things take place, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled at their proper time." Meanwhile, the people were waiting for Zechariah and were amazed that he stayed so long in the sanctuary. But when he came out, he was unable to speak to them, and they realized that he had seen a vision in the sanctuary. He was gesturing to them, but remained mute. Then, when his days of ministry were completed, he went home. After this time, his wife Elizabeth conceived, and she went into seclusion for 5 months, saying, "So has the Lord done for me at a time when he has seen fit to take away my disgrace before others." The Gospel of the Lord. Yeah, and this, in this run up to Christmas, I think the passage is, it's exactly where we want to be. It's exactly where we need to be. But before we get to that, I have to say, the candles are not lit. You're right, I didn't like them, but neither did you. I don't know. That's the best I could, yeah. Look. I mean, this is very symbolic of our Advent journey. It's like it's as muddled and confused as if your Advent journey is anything like mine, then it's as muddled and confused as this passage. And at this point, I do have to say, although I'd like to say, my preaching and the rest is the fruit of many years of dedicated study and the rest. But today, this preaching is brought to you by Dayquil and coffee. Okay, so if there's any, okay, anyway, we'll see how they do in combination. I don't think it's working out too well, but it is what it is at this point. We're along for the ride, just like Zechariah and Elizabeth are along for the ride. God is advancing His purposes. Yeah, and it's ours just to say yes and go. Just keep saying yes and go. This is our Advent season. And what do we have here? These are dedicated people. These are dedicated people in whose lives God has not acted as they would have expected or anticipated. Yeah, and why is that? It's because He had something better in store. This is the long and short of it. Now there's a lot of trust that has to be there in order for even them to say, yeah, there's something better in store, right? These years of long suffering and this kind of thing, there still has to be that trust. And look, the great thing is, Zechariah doesn't have it. He doesn't even have it. He doesn't have that trust. He doubts. You can see the angel like, what are you talking about? I'm Gabriel, man. I'm Gabriel. Do you know who I am? Like, I'm Gabriel. And then he's struck dumb, right? But his tongue will be loosened later on, as it were. And what will he do? He'll sing God's praises. He doesn't say, his tongue is loosened and he curses God because he spent, 9 months or more silenced because of his lack of trust. No, he's got a lot of time, I would say, like, not speaking. And sometimes that means like listening well. He's got a lot of time to contemplate what God is doing, what God has done, and what God is doing. And the fact that God will advance his purposes. He will do it. Now it takes some faith, again, right? It takes his people signing themselves over to him, giving themselves over to him. Again, in as muddled and imperfect way as possible, right? I mean, not lighting the candles. It is what I'm not fixated on that, by the way. It's just it doesn't really bother me that the candles are not. So I apologize if that bothers you, but it doesn't bother me that much. But it's a great sign, right? We didn't light the candles, okay? We didn't light the candles. We're going to keep going. We're going to persevere, and we're going to keep. Because we could say, and this is why it doesn't bother me, is because we could allow that to. Not just that. I'm talking about your bad preparations in the Advent season. Mine were okay, but as always, it's not that great. But we could allow that to affect a turn inward for ourselves. Woe is me! I didn't accomplish what I intended to accomplish. Woe is me! I wasn't strong enough to whatever. All this kind of stuff. We could allow that to happen, but this is not the point. That's not the point. Because that only puts you back at the center of the story. And whenever you're at the center of the story, like Zechariah, that's the question that he's asking. How can this be, right? I'm not capable of this, and my wife is too old. Like, it's not gonna happen. I can't imagine it. I'm not in control of it, so it can't, all that kind of thing. He's pushing himself back to the middle of the story. And then Gabriel's saying, no, this is God intends to do this. God intends to complete this work. So submit, obey, follow. And that's the same for us too. Don't allow anything in this season, especially this last week, the run up to Christmas, to have you turn inwards on yourself and push you to the center of the story. God is at the center of the story. He is at work, and he will bring his work to completion. Again, it's ours, like I say, simply, straightforwardly, but not easily, give ourselves over to him. Trust, humble obedience, trust, submit to him. He's the one with the plan. He's pushing it through. We just have to keep saying yes, no matter where we are, right? Bumbling and fumbling and whatever, or even, pitch perfect and it doesn't matter. What matters is continuing to say yes to him no matter where we are, so that he can lead us step by step these last days in the build up to Christmas.